Harvie S., and we're here at Kolstein, NYC, at Harvie's Corner. I've got my own corner. It's not really a corner, but it's Harvie's Corner. Anyway, the name of this new podcast is called Bass in the Corner. And what we do is interview the lifeblood of the New York scene. Us bass players, we play with all the people. We don't get a lot of credit, but we get a lot of work. So anyway, and it's nice to showcase, because I found that every time I've interviewed somebody, I find out something amazing about what they've done, and I didn't know you did that. So anyway, my good friend here, Josh Marcum, is here. And how are you doing, Josh?
Good. Thanks for having me, Harvie. It's an honor.
Thank you. Great to have you here. So I have a question for you.
Sure. Shoot.
What are you doing now? Give me some of the things you're doing recently, your most recent things, because a lot of your other stuff's on the internet. So this is new stuff.
So I play a lot of different styles of music. Mm-hmm. I've played with the great guitar player Gene Bertoncini for the last 10 years. And also have been working a lot with the vocalist Melissa Stilianu.
Yes.
And she and Ronnie Ben-Hur and I have been out doing some gigs. We were up in Rochester around the Jazz Festival.
You did the festival.
Yeah. And we were just at WBGO with Janice Siegel, which was just amazing. Just another real treat.
So Janice sang with you and Melissa?
And Ronnie, yeah, she sat in and sang a number with us, which was amazing.
Janice is one of the greatest. As Melissa is. But
a lot of fun.
Janice is an old friend. I did 2 records with her a long time ago.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
Yeah. And in classical music, I was just up at Bard for the music festival this summer.
And what kind of do you play in an orchestra?
That was in an orchestra, and we were doing the music of Vaughan Williams. A lot of pieces that weren't played in America historically, and a lot of fun, and just amazing to be in that beautiful concert hall designed by Frank Gehry.
Ooh.
That was another treat.
Did you feel the acoustics were great in there?
The acoustics were very good, yeah. So it's just a lovely environment, and being up in the Hudson Valley in the summer.
How many basses in this orchestra?
Fun. I think that was. I think there were about 7 of us.
Wow!
I think in that particular format.
I love that sound. I mean, 7 basses at once. When you hit the low strings together, that's got to create a whole low sound wave that is so much fun.
Special. Any musical ensemble.
Yeah. Oh, great. And so you've been doing that around town and doing all that. So, all right, great. Well, now, being a bassist on the scene, but you had to start somewhere. How did you, look, not everybody grows up and says, I want to be a bass player. How did you end up becoming a bass player?
That's true. There were a lot of really terrific players where I grew up in Tennessee.
No, you grew up in Tennessee, and where?
I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee.
In Knoxville, okay, good.
And a lot of great players around there, and in Nashville, and that's also where Edgar Meyer lives.
Edgar Meyer.
And I became interested in the bass when I started listening more to jazz music and bebop, and also I was, hearing recordings of Leonard Bernstein and the Vienna Philharmonic and the New York Philharmonic. And I noticed the common thread was the bass. Everybody needs a bass player.
You gravitated. You were meant to play the bass,
So that's where it came from. And my school had a few basses laying around. They weren't as nice as some of these. But I just took one home and, figured out how to get in the car first, and
that's the hard part.
And I had a good friend who was playing cello in the orchestra, and she kind of helped me with, figuring out which end of the bow to hold, and how everything worked.
Yeah, so you come from the time still where there wasn't a lot of instruction. You kind of had to figure out a lot of this stuff on your own, which is a good thing, maybe.
That's true, yeah. That's
not always a good thing, but most of the time. Yeah, same with me. I just kind of learned, I said, well, here's the instrument. Now learn how to play it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was lucky. I hooked up with Rusty Holloway, who's a mutual friend of ours.
Yes.
Back home in Knoxville.
Well, you couldn't hooked up with a better person.
Yeah, and I heard of people like you and Michael Moore, who was later my teacher when I moved to New York, and big inspiration. And started hearing those albums with Gene Bertoncini and
with those Bertoncini Michael Moore records are amazing, and Michael Moore is like one of the great, amazing bass players.
Yeah, really phenomenal in every way.
Yeah, so it must have been fun studying and picking his brain.
Yeah, same as you. It's great to have all these wonderful players in New York, and just to get to hear you guys all the time and be inspired.
Oh, yeah. So did you go to school?
I did. I went to Manus in New York City, and I studied with Orrin O'Brien for a number of years. Who's one of the best in the business.
Orrin. Oh,
yeah. And I was just speaking with Mr. Kolstein, who also studied with her a number of years ago.
A lot of people should know, when we should just say, Orrin O'Brien was the first woman to get in the bass section of the New York Philharmonic. And she just retired after, I don't know how many years, 50?
Over 50. She started in 1966.
She played in the orchestra from 1966 to 2022 or 1.
Incredible. Yeah.
And and I saw her not long ago. She looks like she's like 40 years old, in great condition.
She really does.
She's amazing.
She never seems to age.
She doesn't age, great. So you studied with Orrin.
Studied with Orrin and a lot of the other great bass teachers at Manus, and I met Rex Serrani, who's in the principal of the Met Opera, and started working with him. And just, I continue to be inspired and to try to, seek information on this instrument that we love.
Yeah, it's quite truthfully, it's never over. We know that. But that doesn't change our quest to keep learning. Just all we can do is learn as much as we can. That's all we can do.
It's a great gift, you know.
It's like Pablo Casals. Somebody said to him, like, why are you still practicing 8 hours a day? And he was in his 80s or something. He says, I'm getting somewhere. And that's really it. That's a beautiful thing. So now you have a CD here that I'd love to know a little bit about it.
I do, sure. This is the great Brazilian artist Luiz Milan's latest release, Brazilian Match.
Ooh.
It was produced by Arnaldo de Sotero, and it has arrangements by Michelle Friedensen. It's a total all-star group of musicians. Randy Brecker's on here, the New York Voices, just
oh my God,
tons of amazing people. And I was fortunate to play on a couple tracks with Mike Maneri and Eddie Daniels.
Oh, Eddie Daniels, wow.
Yeah, and I was able to play some arco melodies with those guys, which is one of my favorite things to do, and also play some pizzicato bass. So just a good example of kind of everything that I'm into.
Wow, that's fantastic. And you have the CD with Melissa, right?
I'm not on that. We've been playing some concerts with that repertoire.
Because I know I hear you playing with her a lot.
Yeah, so that's been a lot of fun.
And that was Gene Bertoncini on that?
Gene was on that.
Oh, yeah. Right. I didn't know. So you're like kind of, you do a lot of those gigs with that band. I mean, that's what we do as bass players. Mm-hmm. I mean, I play with so many different bands that I didn't record with, but they need a bass player. I play, and then sometimes I sub, and another bass player covers for me on a thing. So we're doing that all the time. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
And that's the, like I said, as bass players, we're the lifeblood of the New York scene. We keep the whole thing going. We don't get a lot of credit, but we get a lot of work.
Well, you set a high bar. I've been on some of those gigs where they hand you the recording, and it's Harvie S on it, and it's it's hard to match, but
oh, come on. But thank you so much. Thank you.
And that's kind of the great thing too, with all these players you've been speaking to, you run into each other and you play with some of the same people, and it's a nice,
almost everybody who's been here,
scene.
I've done the same gigs and know the same people. That's why I like this kind of a thing. Now, here we are at the kind of new Kolstein shop, Kolstein NYC, and you've been here before, so give me your opinion or some thoughts about the shop.
Well, I really like what's happening here, and every time I've been in Midtown, I try to stop into the shop, especially when you're here, and I really like your sort of curated selection of basses.
Thank you.
There's a lot to play between here and the shop in Baldwin, so you've saved a lot of time by picking your 5 favorite instruments of the moment. I pick them with
Barry. Yeah, Barry Kolstein and I do it together because he's the real expert on instruments. But I'm very good about how to make it playable for jazz players. So we work together. I think it's a good combination.
Yeah, I've seen some beautiful orchestra basses and
great ones. Yeah,
one of Miss O'Brien's old basses is here.
One of her basses.
Yeah, and there was a beautiful bass that belonged to Major Holly.
Yes.
That went out the door probably as fast as it came in.
Right, and it's in Baldwin now, but they had Scott LaFaro's bass. They have Scott LaFaro's bass, which
big piece of
Barry
history.
Rebuilt after the accident, and they have Percy Heath's bass in a vault. That bass was, I think, made in the 1600s. It's so old. Incredible. And it looks brand new. I can't believe that was the bass that Percy Heath used all over the world, toured with it, and it still looks great. And of course, it sounds, and people out there know it's not for sale. Everyone's like, I want to buy that.
Just so you know.
It's not for sale. Neither is Scott LaFaro's bass. They basically donate it and loan it to people to use. So they're not looking to make a profit on that. That's to them is sacred. It's something you can't sell, and because this place, a lot of people come into this store and think, oh, it's a new store. It's not a new store because it's been in business since the 40s. Sam Kolstein started almost just under 80 years ago, 79 years ago. He started this business, and this is an extension of this business. So it's quite a great thing. So I'm glad that you come by, and of course always come by and hang out any time, and always great to see you.
Thanks,
Josh,
Harvie.
thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.